Welcome everybody back to Gambito Gaming. Today we are looking at another Iceberg. That's right, I'm doing another Iceberg video, and that means, yeah, I'm back on my bullshit. That also means I might be returning to previous left off Icebergs, i.e. the Animal Crossing one. So anybody who subscribed to me from the Animal Crossing video and was begging for a part 2, I might be planning that in the future. Regardless, let's move on to the topic at hand, Diddy Kong Racing. This is a great kart racer on the N64. The best, some might say. That's big words, considering Mario Kart 64 is also on that list. And must we forget Iggy's Wrecking Balls? I mean, let's not get crazy here. Diddy Kong Racing is good, but it's no Iggy. If you don't know how icebergs work, we're going down a list, we're talking about topics, and as we go deeper, it gets more dark. Alright, let's start with Layer 1. Banjo's first appearance. At this point, Banjo is pretty much a household name. If you talk to anybody who's played an N64 game or a 3D platformer, they'll know who Banjo and Kazooie are. But he actually didn't originate from the title Banjo-Kazooie. He rather first premiered alongside his big-breasted buddy, Diddy Kong, in Diddy Kong Racing. Another Banjo character actually premiered in Diddy Kong Racing as well, known as Tip Tup. And he can also be found in Bubble Gloop Swamp in Banjo-Kazooie. Shout out to Tip Tup, he's in tip-top shape. Pro-Am 64. Pro-Am 64 is the original working title for Diddy Kong Racing. This was much before the title was ever going to be a Diddy Kong type game. Listen, there's two types of games in the world. There's Diddy Kong themed games and there's games without Diddy Kong themes. And this one was going to be a non-Diddy Kong themed game. The game was still being developed by Rare at the time, but originally featured a different character to lead the game. This character was come to known as Timber the Tiger, and he would actually appear later in Diddy Kong Racing as a separate playable character, but in this original game, Pro-Am 64, he was going to be the face, the star of it. Crunch is a Kremling. So Crunch is a playable character from Diddy Kong Racing, and it's really no surprise he resembles a Kremlin here. I mean, he's a crocodile, and he's got the leather vest on. I remember this being kind of more of a rumor as a child that Crunch was actually a Kremling from the Donkey Kong Country series, or maybe even Donkey Kong 64. But apparently it's not a rumor, and it's completely confirmed now, officially. This quote was pulled from the official Diddy Kong Racing wiki. Here, Crunch is sent by King K. Rool to investigate why Diddy Kong and several of his friends are at Timber's Island, and to see if they are hatching some sort of anti-Kremling plot. You know, hatching all those anti-Kremling plots. Instead of actually going through with K. Rool's plan and antagonizing Diddy and his friends, Crunch ends up aiding them in their battle against the evil alien hog, Whizpig. So yeah, Crunch is a Kremling, and he was sent there by King K. Rool. Finally, I got some closure from the rumor that haunted my childhood. Donkey Kong Racing. Donkey Kong Racing is yet another canceled project from Rare. They're starting to stack up over here, guys, seriously. However, this project had a lot more development time, so we actually have a lot of things to reference here. Specifically, at Space World 2000, the project was first shown off with a pre-rendered trailer. It shows Donkey Kong riding on his animal buddies along with Taj from the Diddy Kong Racing series. The game was set to release in 2002 on the Nintendo GameCube. Unfortunately, there wasn't much shown of the game after Space World 2000, and the project ceased to exist after Major Nelson dropped the people's elbow on Nintendo and bought Rare right from under them, only to shoot it in the same fashion as the ending of Gran Torino. Rest in peace, King. Second layer. Taj's player select theme. Taj is a big bluish purple elephant that greets Diddy Kong and friends when you first start the game. Every character in Diddy Kong Racing has a remix song of their own on the select screen that pertains to their specific character. For example, here's BANJO'S. And it features somebody absolutely going fucking in on a banjo to represent the fact that his name does in fact resemble that of a real life instrument. Taj actually has a theme that is still in the game files but was cut from the original game. This has led many to believe that Taj was originally supposed to be an unlockable character that you could play as after you beat the game. Yeah, dude, all you gotta do to unlock Taj in Diddy Kong Racing is BLJ through Whizpig's double chin. Then you gotta find the Taj's real statue in the back, drive around to that 40 times backwards, unlock the homie. The soundtrack CD. This shit is so fucking funny to me. This particular entry is so Diddy Kong. I'll just say that. So the game had a music CD that came out, and it contained pretty much all the great tunes the game had to offer. You know what, in an instance like this, I'd say Nintendo was down tremendously. They molded the CD disc after Diddy's lumpy, misshapen, dismembered fucking head. Not only is it just disturbing, that means that most CD players that, you know, you put discs into to play them won't be able to play this clunky ass disc. And that's solely because it looks like Diddy's fucking face, his misshapen non-CD face. Okay, it is worth noting that not all CD players can't play this disc. You just can't really put it into one that has the disc enclosed. So some CD players can indeed play this, but not all of them, so it's not fucking worth it. Future Funland scrapped minigame. So Future Funland is the 5th world in Diddy Kong Racing, and it serves as the final world of the game. Unlike previous worlds, there is no minigame to be found. In fact, there's even a space for it, but alas, the minigame was never developed for the final world. It is unknown if it had to do with the time constraints on the game or the fact that a minigame just wouldn't fit in the final world's theme. Considering it's called Future Funland, I think he could have put a little bit of a minigame in there. Diddy Kong Pilot. So the original build of Banjo Pilot on Game Boy Advance actually featured Diddy Kong as the main character. The title was to be called Diddy Kong Pilot, but unfortunately this game was also in development around the time the Microsoft acquisition, so they swiftly changed the characters to Banjo. The game was to feature other Donkey Kong characters, so it's unknown if this was supposed to tie into the Diddy Kong Racing universe or not. Had this game released, it would have been one of the first games that King K. Rool would have been a playable character in. The VHS promo. This game, along with many other of the time, had cheesy ass commercials that would show the game in fuller detail. This game in particular had a VHS promo that lasted almost 10 minutes. These things are less commercial than they are a whole fucking show. Throughout the tape, it shows just the worst fucking acting you've ever seen.
For secret press release from Nintendo, it appeared that Diddy Kong will also be racing new and different vehicles in this adventure.
And just the worst 90s writing you've ever seen. And it also intersplices segments of the game. The gameplay that's used looks like it's from the final build of the game, but it could be an earlier build depending on when the commercial was filmed. If anybody has any more information on that, I'd like to know. But in my eyes, I think it is the final build of the game. Other than that, there's not much substance to this VHS promo. If you want a little bit of a 90s nostalgia trip, go check it out, but I'd say just play the game if you want that nostalgia trip. Save yourself the 10 minutes, right? Diddy Kong Racing Adventure. So guys, Diddy Kong Racing Adventure is a game that I had no idea almost existed, and I'm honestly regretting knowing about it, because this shit would have been fucking dope. Back in 2004, when the GameCube was hot shit, a company known as Climax Group pitched a sequel for Diddy Kong Racing, straight to Nintendo. When they pitched it, they had a running demo that was just unfortunately running on an Xbox dev kit. And when Shigeru saw this, he personally ordered the death of the president of Climax Group, then and there. Without hesitation, Miyamoto pulled out his beloved father's katana and ended the man's life before the pitch was even finished. That's not what happened. From what was released in the pitch, the game would have featured a large open world area in which players could go to different levels. This is very similar to the original Diddy Kong Racing concept, but on a much larger scale. There was also very interesting ideas at play here for a kart racer of that time, like the idea that players could swap vehicles mid-race. We've seen that since then, but for that era, that would have been pretty iconic. Or how about take the fact that they were planning to add rideable animal buddies from the Donkey Kong Country series. This could have been a great Diddy Kong Racing sequel, but I guess we'll never be able to see what happened due to Shigeru's raging temper. TT's theme is actually just celebration. This entry claims that the absolute fucking banger that is TT's theme is actually just a 64-bit version of the song Celebration. I'm gonna be honest, when it's lined up, it does sound pretty similar to Celebration. But at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be bumping TT's theme over Celebration all fucking day. Hot Top Volcano Chanting. The level known as Hot Top Volcano has music that has pretty estranged origins. In the song, you can hear this strange, hypnotic chant in the background. Many people have taken to forums in search of possible lyrics to the song. And some have come back with lyrics that are in Hindu, and some even claim that the words are German and translate to "a man with a bitch mother." And that's, I'm not making a joke there. I know I intersplice these things a lot with jokes, but this was a real conversation that was had in an online forum about Diddy Kong Racing. Is the fact that the chants in Hot Top Volcano translate from German into these words. Bumper the Badger is in jail. In some of the early promotions for Conker Live and Reloaded, there were some posts that were supposed to be Conker talking to the community. And in one of the posts, he says that he no longer hangs out with the cast of Diddy Kong Racing anymore. And the fact that one of the characters actually went to jail. You know, all the Kirby went to jail for tax fraud memes later, and we finally actually have an official Nintendo character going to jail for fucking tax fraud, and that's Bumper the Badger. So this was just a rumor for a while, and nobody actually ever believed that the Badger went to jail, right? That is until it was officially confirmed in 2012. After the release of Nuts and Bolts, Microsoft press piece had this to say. And buckle in, fellas. Glad you enjoyed Nuts and Bolts. Where do characters go between games? Well, they're all off having crazy adventures, too expensive and asset heavy to adapt into game form. So that's where they are. Except for Bumper the Badger, who's in fucking jail, dude. He's just rotting away in prison. He's the lone prisoner who they left on Alcatraz when it closed up. Somebody go get him, dude. The third layer. Star Fox Adventures is a Diddy Kong Racing prequel. So Star Fox Adventures is a 3D platformer on the GameCube that was developed by Rareware. Much before it turned into Star Fox Adventures, however, it was titled Dinosaur Planet. The game was originally intended to feature racing and track-based levels like that of Diddy Kong Racing. However, as development continued, Shigeru Miyamoto noticed the similarities between Dinosaur Planet characters and the Star Fox characters, and forced Rareware at gunpoint to change Dinosaur Planet to feature a Star Fox theme. Therefore, some fans have come to the conclusion that since Diddy Kong Racing inspired that of Dinosaur Planet, and that turned into Star Fox Adventures, that Diddy Kong Racing can kind of be seen as a prequel to Star Fox Adventures. Although, I'd ask those people, you've ever heard of a stretch? Banjo adopted by Kazools. Banjo was getting fairly popular by the time his standalone game came out. So popular, in fact, he has his own action figure. The back of the box of this action figure actually had a strange description. As found by Ben Bertoli on Twitter, the back of the box has strange statements like adopted by Kazools. For a while, this was speculated on what the fuck Kazool was, and many just assumed it was a typo for Kazooie. This was finally confirmed by Greg Mayles, who worked at Rareware at the time and actually wrote the description for the back of the action figure. He states, in a reply to the original tweet, "I wrote the original Banjo description and this isn't quite right due to a couple of typos. It should be adopted by Kazooie, and Kazooie would never turn down a chance for adventure. Banjo just wants the easy life." That means it is confirmed that Kazooie did in fact adopt Banjo from a young age. That means that in this world, this canon, due to the action figure, we now know the lore behind Banjo and Kazooie's origins. Time-traveling cavemen. In the earliest stages of Diddy Kong Racing's creation, the idea behind the game's gameplay and story was going to be tied to a real-time strategy game that featured fucking time-traveling cavemen. Now, while that game sounds quite epic, I'm still glad we got Diddy Kong Racing over that concept, to be honest. 2000s Flash game. I don't know if you guys remember, but many games in the early 2000s would feature websites that would coincide with the game's release. These would feature a lot of information for the game, smaller games on the website, pictures, videos, and a place to actually buy the game. You guys ever see the Wario World official website? If you did, you're tainted and you can never live a normal life again. No chance I'm showing you guys that here. That's content only for websites like Lively. Anyway, Diddy Kong Racing on Nintendo DS featured one of these fully functional websites that went alongside the game. This website was the definition of extra. With all of the cool graphics and videos showing off all of the features, how could you not get hyped for this fucking game? However, to top it all off, they had a Flash game that featured Tony the Tiger from the cereal box. It was simple, but it's super weird to see a shitty Flash game that was officially licensed by Nintendo. You just won't ever see that again. Diddy Kong Racing DS is a sequel. According to the unofficial but also pretty official Diddy Kong Racing wiki, the DS remake is both a remake and a sequel to the original N64 game. It's kind of weird that this distinction is being made rather than just calling it a remake, but this comes from, I think, the myriad of changes from the original game. Some of these changes including swapping characters like Banjo and Conker for Dixie and Tiny Kong because they no longer had rights to those characters. Also, you can play as Wizpig, Taj, and even fucking the homie TT, dude. I think if the terminology existed back then, this would have definitely been called Diddy Kong Racing, the Definitive Edition. But unfortunately, that wasn't commonplace back then, so this game's kind of in the gray area between remake and sequel because of the extra content. DS Tech Demo. There was an unreleased tech demo for Diddy Kong Racing on DS. The demo can actually be found in the game's files, in a file simply called Old. The YouTuber P2P Online has a great video showing off what the demo looks like. It's a very bare bones build of the game and doesn't even feature a moving Diddy Kong. Another interesting tidbit about this demo is that it was created a few months before the initial release of the DS. This means this game could have been planning to launch within the launch window of the DS itself, or even maybe be a launch title. Wild Cartoon Kingdom. After the time-traveling cavemen idea fell through, Rareware had a reality check and decided to go in a more sensible direction for a kart racer. They ended up taking inspiration from Disney at the time and decided to go and try to make a kart racer based off of Disney parks. This game was to be called Wild Cartoon Kingdom. However, nothing much else came from it, and then it was worked into Pro M64, and then, of course, eventually into Diddy Kong Racing. Dark versions of characters. In the aforementioned Diddy Kong Racing adventure game, there were certain characters that were planned to have dark versions. That included Diddy Kong himself. That's right, you guys, you have to race Dark Diddy while also playing the Diddy Devil Went Down to Georgia on Guitar Hero 3 to get the secret ending where afterwards you unlock dark bottles from Banjo-Kazooie. You don't actually unlock dark bottles, that would be pretty dope, but unfortunately this is really the only information I could find about dark versions of characters relating to Diddy Kong Racing. The final layer. Donkey, Crab, and Mammoth. While Wild Cartoon Kingdom wasn't in development for long, there was some concept art for some of the characters that were to be featured inside the kart racer. These two images show off 3 different animals who would have been playable characters. This mammoth can be seen riding a moped type motorcycle thing and it's got a little helmet on. To be honest, this thing's kind of creepy. I'm not sure if it's just the nostalgic like 90s 3D concept art that's getting to me or just how soulless it looks. But this guy definitely gives me like the Stranger Danger type feeling I had when I was a kid. So let's take a look at the other characters. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? What the fuck? Fuck is that? Oh god, Jesus, what the fuck? Donkey and the Crab were also going to be full-blown characters in this kart racer. God, where's this timeline and let me go to it. Let me play Wild Cartoon Kingdom with these characters, please. Let me go to that timeline. Donkey Kong is in Diddy Kong Racing. So Donkey Kong is actually in Diddy Kong Racing, and all you really have to do is meet Taj in the back alley behind the Wizpig statue, and he'll tell you the Rareware secret code to unlock Donkey Kong in the game, but only in adventure mode. Honestly, I couldn't find anything official or even unofficial about Donkey Kong ever being even suggested to be in Diddy Kong Racing. So let me know if you guys have any more information about this that's factual and has, sources to it. Scrapped Wild West World. Unfortunately, this is another entry where I could absolutely find no information on, and honestly, the search engine optimization on this subject isn't the best because there's a level in Donkey Kong King of Swing on DS that is also called Wild West World, so that just keeps popping up every time I search Diddy Kong and Wild West World. But apparently there's going to be a 6th and final world that would feature a Wild West theme. Who knows, this could have some remnants from the Wild Cartoon Kingdom, where maybe they featured a western world. Rest in peace, Wizpig. This theory claims that the main villain in Diddy Kong Racing is actually dead the whole time. It is unknown how he died or even how he's able to move around and articulate when he is in fact dead. It's said that the strange elephant Taj resurrected him using the dark arts, in a sole purpose to bring Diddy Kong and his friends to Wizpig Island, in an attempt to get revenge on Diddy for murdering Taj's son in a drive-by shootout. The real theory just comes from the fact that if you 100% Diddy Kong Racing, Wizpig gets launched into space on a rocket, and just nobody's surviving that, man. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is actually Diddy Kong Racing 2. So Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed shares many similarities to the Diddy Kong Racing series, mainly that of the different vehicle options you can choose while racing. Many of the ideas that were considered for Diddy Kong Racing now live on in Sega's All-Star Racing series. I wouldn't officially call this a sequel or Diddy Kong Racing 2, but I would be lying if I said All-Stars Racing doesn't borrow concepts that made Diddy Kong Racing so good. Secret bad ending. There's a secret bad ending to Diddy Kong Racing in which the gang is having a peaceful beach party after having thought to have defeated Wizpig. Little did they know Wizpig was hiding behind the lighthouse. He comes out and chases everyone away before getting sucked up into his spaceship and leaving. The weird thing is, I actually remember this ending as a child, and I don't know how secret it actually is to find, but I couldn't find any instructions on how to get there, so if you guys have any information on this, how do you get the secret ending versus the actual, the good ending, I guess? Because I remember seeing this cutscene several times because I was a dumb kid, and I assume you have to do something dumb to get this ending. Regardless, that is the end of this Diddy Kong Racing Iceberg. It's a bit of a random game, but I remember playing this game a lot as a kid, and I really liked it, and I thought the lore behind it was very interesting. Obviously, it's a game that has a bunch of characters that, you know, don't have the richest of backstories, so I thought the Iceberg would be pretty interesting to delve into. And I also know I'm a huge fan of Banjo, and I know he's also in this game, and he shares a little bit of lore alongside it, and it's just a great game. Let me know if you guys want to see more Iceberg videos. You can do that by dropping a like or leaving a comment. That always helps me. And make sure to subscribe if you're new here. That would always help out, and I plan to do more Icebergs in the near future, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.